Hey guys.
One, two, three. Anybody here?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Okay. Whew, I made it.
Has everyone else been locked out as well?
Yeah, we were all locked out.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
my fault. I fell asleep.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I picked up on that, not only the ID in the red, but also that 11-digit number that has to go in there with it, which is fine if that's what we need to be able to keep it private without getting hacked.
Yes, that was actually a new thing from Zoom. They are requiring that to happen now.
Yeah.
I didn't have to put passcode in to get in.
What's that?
I didn't have to put those passcode numbers in.
Well, it's supposed it's actually built into the invite. So when you click the button when you click the link to join, the password's built into that. But I have to distribute the password as well, just in case it needs it too. It's kind of weird actually, but
Ryan, I have to ask a question.
yes.
What are you sitting on?
What am I sitting on?
I look behind me.
Oh, well,
when I look behind, huh?
You mean for my background?
When I look at all those sinks back there, I'm wondering what you're sitting on.
Oh, well, those are actually plates on a table. I wanted to see if anyone.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I was with
Oh,
Rex. I was looking.
apologize.
It looked like multiple sinks.
I wanted to see if anyone would pick up
Hello.
on that and see what that is.
I thought it was Harry Potter.
Hello?
Yeah,
There's
looks
a
like
winner.
I can't hear you.
It's the dining room for Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Oh, now I know where you're going to dinner tonight.
Yeah.
At least there's a lot of good food.
So we're picking up more and more people here. We're up to
16?
16, I believe now.
Wow.
Dennis,
Well,
you know your microphone's muted.
Who?
There you go. Thanks.
There you go.
I mute mine off and on so you don't hear my dog.
What are you doing, the poor arrow?
Oh, he's about ready. Does your niece still want a dog? Seriously.
Nate would say yes if he were in here.
Hi, Beth King.
Looking.
There's Marty.
Oh, so where's Margie? Back. So how's everybody enjoying their lockdown?
That takes care of everybody right there.
Yep.
I'm getting lots of stuff done. I'm enjoying it.
Well, I will tell you guys that actually, let me show you.
Oh, we got a new toy.
Kelby won. You guys know what Kelby 1 is?
Yep.
Mhm. Yep.
Hang on a second. My nope. Ah. Kelby 1 has you can join them for free right now.
Oh,
And they have, you don't get everything, but you get quite a bit for free. So if you do the free course, which is just, there's no credit card, you don't have to give them anything. It's always free once you join it. And they have 12 or 15 courses that you can do. That's their full course that you're allowed to go through that's free.
Oh,
And they're also doing weekly webinars that are free right now. So I wanted to point that out because there's a couple pretty good courses in there that I was looking at. And the next one that I'm going to be doing is this one here, which I know this is something that we talk about quite often, and we all have differential opinions about it. But it's what Scott calls his simplified Lightroom image management system. And he goes through and tells you how to use Lightroom to manage your pictures, how he uses his filing system, and all that stuff. And I watched a brief version of it today as a webcast that he did. And I know Margie would like this, that he actually uses individual files with names on them rather than everything dated like I do. And he says that you shouldn't do dates because you can't remember anything that way. And
Keywords.
he does not use keywords either.
Right.
So, and that's the part that I don't understand yet. So I have to go through this particular course, which is an hour and a half long. So that's probably on the agenda for tomorrow to watch, but I want to see how he gets around not using keywords and being able to find his photos.
Can I make a guess? Can I make a guess?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's pulling it up from the metadata. It's already in the camera. The EXIF file has all that date information.
Well,
That is part of it.
It has the dates and stuff like that, but he's not using, you know how I always preach that you have to keyword everything. And
Yeah.
spend the time keywording. He says that's a waste of time. Don't do that.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
And he says, also he says, don't have multiple catalogs. Have one catalog for all of your photos all the time.
I agree with that.
Everything in one particular catalog. So it's an interesting direction. I don't know if it's something that I'm going to do or not, but I'm going to watch the video tomorrow and see his class and see what it comes up with. So I'll maybe let you all know what I think about it once I've finished his video. But the little bit that I seen today on his webcast did make some sense to me, but I want to see how he goes about finding photographs that are without keywords, because like I said, I've always used keywords, and I've shown you guys how easy it is to find stuff once you use keywords.
yeah.
He says that that's a waste of time. You don't do it.
Yeah.
So
I bet he's using collections or albums, whatever Lightroom calls it.
I do believe he does use collections, but his I don't know. I'm gonna watch it and let you all know. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But the web thing that I watched today was interesting, and he talked a lot about it. And he talked a lot about using hard drives and how to do your backups and stuff like that as well. And he uses he uses Drobos. Of course, he's a millionaire and can afford those things as far as filing systems. But he says 2 hard drives And he also uses a cloud backup as well. That's an automatic backup. It's called Backblaze, which is a $5 a month cost that has unlimited storage to it.
That's not bad.
He said that,
No, it's good.
yeah, it's actually a really good price as far as that goes. But he said that when you first turn it on and first start it up, and it'll back up either your computer, or you can have it back up a external drive. However you want it to back up, it'll back up whatever you tell it to. He said that when you first set it up, it may take 4 or 5 weeks for it to get a complete backup done. And then after that, it only backups what changes on a regular basis. It runs in the background and it doesn't slow anything down on your computer, which I thought was pretty interesting. So I'm going to check into that too. And I believe Paul Valerio uses Backblaze as well, if I remember correctly. I remember someone talking about it at one of our meetings at one point. So I'm going to take a look at that. For $5 for unlimited storage for a cloud backup that you don't have to sit down and actually tell it to do it, this may not be a bad idea. So,
you know, Brian, if anyone belongs to Amazon Prime, you could upload unlimited storage for photographs, but videos, they only limit you for 20 gigabytes.
yes, that is correct.
That's an option.
Yes, absolutely. But it's not an automatic option. You have to actually go in and do it yourself.
Right.
Well, Brian, that's not exactly true, because I use that for my cloud backup, and it's automated.
Is it?
Yep.
I never figured out how to do that. I'll have to look at that because I have Amazon.
What was that? What was that I missed? With
Amazon Drive, you can use as a cloud backup system, and you can set it up where it automatically looks at particular folders on your hard drive, and as you add files to it, it will automatically load them up to the cloud.
Well, one thing that I ran into, and you folks can correct me, is I tried that, and you can upload JPEG files, but when you got into RAW files from different cameras, it didn't want to take them. Now, do other people have those problems?
That's not an issue for me, no.
No, it will take raw files. It says that it'll take raw files. I have
It'll take any file.
I tried it and I had a problem with it. Maybe I can go back. Maybe they changed their system, but maybe I can go back and try that.
Why don't we give it a test run?
I see. I know before I had uploaded, when we were talking one time at one of the meetings about Amazon Prime, and I had uploaded a raw file just straight to it while we were talking, and that worked. But I didn't know that you could do it as an automatic upload. So,
okay.
Anyhow, some thoughts that I went through today and I thought was interesting. And Kelby One, go ahead and sign up for it. It's free right now. And you can also sign up for his paid versions are very cheap for the first month right now because of everyone on lockdown. So just wanted to point those ones out to you. A couple things that I found today or this week. All right, let me stop this screen and just go back to video for a second because I forgot to click on a button. Anybody else got anything new they want to talk about?
Let's see. I was talking to Dennis yesterday, and one of the things that I was going to do was last month we had, or no, at the SWIG meeting, we had talked about using Transform, and I have a collection of doors that I've pulled together over the years, and I guess the suggestion last time was that I could use those doors to show how Transform works for me. So I have some loaded, and with help, we can get in there. Dennis did a great job of doing it yesterday. Maybe he can help again today if you want to do it, if you want to take a look at them.
Okay.
So I've got a collection of doors, which is interesting because they come from different years, and my keyword was doors. So it just pulled everything. Every time I photographed doors and I brought them into Lightroom, I put that in the keyword. And so it's pulled them up from 2007 and 14 and 17 and 19, pulled them all together. So I was able to bring them into this other computer this way. So if we want to, we can take a look at those. That's enough from me.
Okay. All right. Anybody else got anything going on?
I spoke to the woman about the farm thing, and she said whenever the quarantine is lifted, we're more than welcome to come anytime.
Okay. Okay, so we'll have to, we'll keep that on the schedule then as far as that goes, and when we can go, we'll make that a schedule and go to the farm. No, it'd be nice to get out of the house and go somewhere.
Brian, that reminds me, I know the officers were informed about the cancellation of the pavilion at Cedar Creek for our May picnic. I'm not sure that's been shared with the general public, if you will.
I do believe it was in the last newsletter, but if not, I'm sure it's going to be in the next one.
Okay.
But yeah, the Westmoreland County canceled that for us and sent Jim his money back. So unfortunately, that picnic has been canceled at this point because of the quarantine, and they've canceled all of their permits and everything at this point. So that again, when we have the ability to do that, maybe we'll reschedule that and go do that again. So we'll have to just kind of keep an eye out on that. You know, I'm sitting here looking at this at the screen, and I see a lot of people have started to figure out how to use the virtual backgrounds.
Yeah.
Jim, he's in the mountains. John's out in the desert somewhere.
Yeah, northern Nevada. I'm just social distancing.
I'm in Alaska at Denali.
Okay.
You don't look like you're dressed for that background.
Yeah, Jim, you might need
Jim.
you're probably making Margie cold.
I don't know about anybody else, but I saw Beth posted, and I've also had photos accepted at the Westmoreland Arts and Heritage Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, congratulations to both of you guys. Anyone else get into that?
Yep.
I
Jim
had
did.
some accepted as well, yeah.
Did you? All right, make sure you guys get that stuff over to Marty so she gets it put in a newsletter.
Yep, have it.
Cool. Congratulations to all of you guys. You know, a few of us talked about that show not too long ago, and that's one of the only shows I've never been accepted to.
Mhm.
So I quit trying a while back because I got tired of just giving them money.
Yeah,
Well,
Brian made
just-
sure that we went to the opening reception and ate, though.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't have no problem going and getting something free to eat.
I guess I didn't realize before actually applying to it that even though it's one submission, it appears to me that the acceptance of the photos is different between the community college and the Arts and Heritage Festival.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes, you can be accepted to one or the other or both.
And
Sometimes.
it could be, you could have one image in one of them and a different one in the other one too.
Yeah,
Well, that ended up how I was, yeah.
Oh,
I
is it?
had two for the WCCC one, and then one of those goes to the Heritage Festival.
Yeah.
And of course, it's that stinking ostrich.
Mhm.
You're getting your
is
That's
like
what that would have done.
favorite.
Andy, did your other one freeze or did you join twice? Okay. I don't know. Annie has joined.
Art just a second ago.
I'm,
Yeah, she's got two of them up there. That's why you're getting that echo.
Yeah.
Audio off. No, I'm having trouble with my internet for some reason.
All right.
Sounds good now.
I muted one and
Oh,
turned
really?
the other one back on.
Well, I shut the one off.
I
Yeah.
still see two of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to get the
And
hell
I'm
out
only
of the
drinking
water.
water.
The wonders of modern technology. There she went.
No,
I see.
my for some reason my internet's going in and out.
Yeah,
So
wonder why. I mean, you know, the whole country's on the internet at the same time at this point.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
actually
well-
I'm surprised that this system works with as
Yeah.
many people that use it now. So they must have had better servers than the Pennsylvania Unemployment Office does.
I don't think they have any.
Yeah, I got a message today that said that their servers are down again, and you can only call them by phone now, at least for now.
Smoke signals.
Yeah.
Website that uses state stores.
Oh my God! And
Oh.
you know, Ohio has shut down. They won't let PA people buy alcohol.
It's all county in West Virginia.
No, but
I
that
think West
the
Virginia
tax
kicked us out too.
the tax they collect from that, I don't think that's going to be the case too long. They're going to start running out of money. They're going to have to put alcohol back on the
Well,
market.
I think what's happening, yeah, they need to get more alcohol out there for PA because we're a bunch of drunks from what I hear.
Well, no, the state needs money. The state needs the money.
Yes, but I mean, like, we're going to other states and they're kicking us out, so we must be a bunch of
Or you better go to the mountain.
Oh, there'll be plenty of it. You have
I
to
don't-
talk to Art Martin.
I don't know,
Art-
but I
Art-
got mine right here.
Art will know where to go up in the mountains. No, I got it. And you're not going to get away with it. Hey, Mike,
Yeah.
we
All
got
right,
Cheers.
here we go. Cheers, Rex.
I got my beer.
you. We're on board. Hi, Michael.
All right. Well, hey, I got a bunch of you guys on here. Let me ask you a question. Me and the officers emailed back and forth this week a little bit and thought about doing a weekly meeting while we're stuck in quarantine and a lot of us can't go out. And just a kind of I think someone referred to it as a swig light meeting, basically just to get together once a week, just to BS a little bit or maybe show something, talk about something or whatever. Anything just to kind of break up the monotony of sitting around all the time. You guys interested in doing that?
Game.
Yeah, but I guess it's just sort of an ad hoc check-in.
Yeah, it'll be, I think I'll set it up for Thursdays.
Oh, okay. You do have a specific date.
Well, yeah, it'll,
Yeah.
that way we all know at least when it is. I'll send
Yeah.
out an invite. It'll be like
Oh,
Thursday night. And it said it won't be anything kind of like a formal meeting or anything like that, but maybe just, you know, like we would have been meeting for coffee and just sitting around and BSing a little bit and asking some questions and stuff like that. Nothing really, really major, but just something to kind of break up the monotony of watching TV all week.
Oh, that sounds
We're
good.
learning fractions.
That one went over my head. What was that one?
Beth said learning fractions. She can take some time
Oh.
away from learning fractions.
Oh, learning fractions. Okay.
All right, I'll send out an invite to that then, and we'll give it a try. Like I said, I mean, come to it, don't come to it, doesn't really matter, but it'll just give you something to do for an hour or so once a week at least while we're stuck inside. I was talking to Margie today on the phone, and I told her that probably another week of me sitting inside my house, and you guys are going to see me lose my mind. So I got to do something here and there to break it up a little bit.
Okay, we better make those Thursdays.
and
Is your service shop closed?
No, our service shop is open, but I'm considered a salesman because of my current job, so I'm working.
Never mind. My son has the same problem.
Yeah, they had changed me from one job to another not too long before that, where I was running one of the lots, one of the extra lots, and that when they closed everything up, that got me laid off. So
Yeah.
so I've been home since March 20th, I think was my last day of work. So.
It's all right. I was home for 3 weeks before I went back.
Yeah, shut up.
At least I'm back. I'm back part-time, so at least I'm getting the hell out of the house.
Yeah, I did see that they on WPXI that someone's trying to get them to allow the car lots to open back up.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll get to go back to work, but we'll see.
Yeah, you need a new car to stay home.
Yeah. And as me and Margie had spoke today, and it would be nice to go back to work, but at the same time, while this is still going on and they don't really have a good handle on it, and there's no way of really treating it at this point, I really don't want to go outside. I've got other health issues that you all know about, and I don't want to cause myself more problems than necessary.
Yeah.
That's understood.
All right. So I will set that up then and send out an email with the invite for this Thursday, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, my mom was out today. She had to go to the store. She couldn't believe how many cars she saw on the road today. She must have saw 6.
Yeah, I know. The last time I was out, which was a week ago today, I was very surprised at how many cars were out and how busy every place was and stuff like that. And it's just, to me, that's just not smart. I don't know, but I guess it's me. I don't know.
Yeah, Lowe's was packed when I was up there about a little over a week ago. I did a order online, pick up in store, and you go in and it was just packed, and it was people getting stuff like seeds and plants, and there were people shopping in the lighting section and stuff like that. It wasn't necessities.
I think they're all figuring they're stuck at home. They're going to get stuff done at home.
Yeah. I think that's exactly it. But they were all
Is everybody
there.
wearing a mask? Is everybody wearing a mask when they go out?
Yep.
I do.
Yep.
I don't, only because having a mask on my face, I touch my face more. I'm fiddling with it because it's something I'm not used to.
You're actually better off with the mask and just filling it around your ears, because the touch points for entrance are your mouth, eyes, nose, those areas, not so much your ears. So you're better off with the mask.
Yeah.
I second the motion.
I did have a mask on yesterday most of the day in the house because I was spray painting one of my RC cars. So I walked around with a paint respirator on half the day in the house yesterday because I keep the door shut, and spray painting inside is probably not the best idea, but I needed to paint something. So,
Hey, Brian.
Brian,
Margie's having a hard time. She said she's muted and she can't get it off mute. I told her to hit the bottom button, and she said that's not working. I don't know. Is there another way for her to unmute that?
Yeah, you can go further into it.
Right now she should be able to talk. I just unmuted her.
Yeah.
Okay, ask her.
Margie, can we hear you? Can you say something? I do not know. I've got her on muted. She is not muted at this point.
Cause she just.
I have something to share if you want, because we were talking about the pandemic. I worked on the avian bird flu 15 years ago when I was in pharmaceuticals, and I pulled out some of my stuff on the 1918 pandemic. Here's a couple of facts from it. You guys may not know this. It started in the spring, it went away in the summer, and it came back with a vengeance in the fall. It killed 50 million people worldwide.
Holy shit.
My God.
And let's think about this. More people died in the 1918 in the United States. More people died because of the Spanish flu than died in all the wars of the 20th century combined.
Wow.
So think about that when you think that maybe people think that these actions are draconian or maybe too much. They really aren't. The Spanish flu is obviously more deadly than the coronavirus, but still, those lessons got to be learned because it can get out of control very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the reason, like I mentioned, when you go out, like I only go out when I absolutely have to, and that's to go get food to eat. That's it. But when you go out and you look around and people are like Beth said, they're at Lowe's doing their shopping like they normally would. It just doesn't make sense to me. You know, just stay home and stay safe. You know, they keep saying that, and it makes sense. Stay home and stay safe. So I don't know. That's the end of my little soapbox. Stay home, stay safe, guys. All right.
If anybody wants them, let me know.
I want one. I do.
Okay.
I want one.
Do you have a black one with a skull on it?
I have black with feathers on it.
I don't have a mask. The only mask that I have is a paint respirator for when I'm painting. So, and I'm not wearing it out.
Here, Brad, we'll send you this one.
Hey, I'll take it.
Butterfly gray. I could make you a butterfly one though if you really want it.
Zebra or leopard would be good.
I did read about those. I was checking into like a lot of people. When I was out. I seen people with just neck gaiters, and they were using them to pull them up over to their mouth. Depending on what they're made out of, when I come back and did a little bit of research on those can work, but you need something that's made out of cotton. Basically, is what they're saying.
And not a net.
Yeah, that other stuff isn't going to do you as good. Now, anything that you put over your mouth and nose, of course, is going to help, but cotton works the best. So,
just remember that viruses are incredibly tiny, so there really isn't anything that's going to stop a virus from getting through.
Yeah,
right.
So nothing is foolproof in this. Remember that. So you get extra, just because you have a mask on doesn't mean you should exercise the caution of being very careful if you have to sneeze, avoiding anybody that is sneezing, et cetera, et cetera. You should act like you don't have a mask on, really.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. And these are 3-ply. I made them 3-ply. So there's 3 layers of cotton there. I can make them thicker.
That should be good.
No, that's cool. I would be glad to have one, Marty, if you're offering to send one out. And,
all right.
Because I don't have any. Like I said, I don't have any, so I just have my paint respirator.
Send me addresses.
All right. Cool.
Drive by.
What's that?
I could do a drive-by.
Throw it out the window.
You can deliver it like they deliver my pizza. They come to my house and bang on the door really loud, scare the crap out of me, and then run out the door. They run away then. Okay. So we were supposed to do Paul Lewis was going to do a talk on and show some of his street photography video or pictures this evening. But when I finally have gotten in touch with Paul. He is stuck in Northern Virginia. I don't know where, but he said that he's not anywhere near home, and he didn't know when he was going to be able to get back. So he is not going to do his part tonight because of that. So I found a video that I thought was pretty neat. It's a 12-minute video on street photography, and it's a gentleman from New York City that is I would say a professional street photographer, that talks about just it's 5 tips that he recommends if you're going to go out and do street photography. Of course, it's kind of weird to be talking about that at this point, since we're not allowed to do photography because we're not allowed outside, but anyhow, so I'm going to show you that video to you guys, and then I pulled up his Instagram page so we can go through some of his photographs, which he's got some really nice photographs. And we'll show I'll show those pictures. And once the video's over, feel free to chime in and ask questions and stuff like that. And we'll go through some of his pictures. And then maybe we'll take a look at whatever else. I don't know. We'll go from there. How's that, guys?
Sounds good.
That's good.
Margie, I see you're back, but I still haven't heard anything from you. Not sure what's going on with Margie.
I don't know. She said she's trying to unmute it on the bottom of her screen, but it wouldn't. She's still not hearing anything. She thought maybe you had muted her for some reason.
No, she is not. She is unmuted. She is not. She should be able to talk right now. I can hear.
Can you check her volume on her mic, Brian?
I can't.
Okay.
There was a setting whenever I first went on there that said that she could check her audio.
Right.
That's right.
So she might want to do that.
The little up arrow beside the microphone, it pops up and gives you about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, at least 8 options. Right there, right beside that little microphone. Audio settings, switch to phone audio, test speakers and mic. Microphone array, etc.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much I can do from my side. It shows that she should be able to talk. So I hope she can at least hear us. Put it that way. All right, guys. Let me get the screen up for the video, and we'll show that. And let's see. We want to share that one and share that.
Mom, what?
Really wish that would not be there. All right, let's see here. Here it is. YouTube.
Okay. Go play.
Okay, do you guys see that as a full screen just video?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm full screen.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to start playing that. Tell me if you can hear it as well, because sharing a video and making the sound come through, I had to read about that this week. So you should be able to hear it, though. Let's see.
Just really quickly want to thank you guys for
Oh, I thought that was someone talking to me. That was him talking. Sorry.
clicking on this video. If you guys want more videos on improving your photography and your videography, I have a playlist full of guides linked right up here, or find it in the description box below. As much as I love teaching photography and videography, I am not the master of all genres. So from time to time, I do have to bring in an expert to talk about specific matters. And I am incredibly honored to have this new friend share some of his stories on my YouTube channel. So here are 5 priceless street photography tips from a professional. Take it away, Professor Hines.
So I am Kenneth Hines Jr. Many people know me as Professor Hines. So some of the tips that I have as far as shooting street. My first one is prime lenses. The reason I love using prime lenses is because the image quality that you get with the prime lenses, they force you to move your body. That is a very big point. You have to get low, you have to move to this side, move to that side, come in closer. It makes your image look different. It changes the story that's being told. And then I also love it for the faster apertures. Now, a lot of people use wide aperture lenses and use them wide open the entire time. That's not always great for everything that you shoot. And this is a prime example of this. Two of the same images, but one is shot at f1.8, the other is at f6.3. Look at the differences between these two images. You can't tell what's in the background on the first image. Yes, my focus is on the locks that are on the fence, but you can't see, like, where am I? What is that in the background? You totally lose the story there. Whereas the other image is stopped down to 6.3. It's very subtle. It adds to the image. You kind of see where you are. You see that there's buildings back there, but then it adds to your actual focus of the locks on the screen. As far as street photography, what are some of the lenses that I utilize? And that would be my 25mm f2. I love my 40mm close focus and my 85mm 1.8 Zeiss Batis lenses. So with the 85mm 1.8, it's a lens that I'm very, very comfortable with. And what I love about it is that for being a shy photographer that I am, it gives me that distance between the subject that I'm capturing and also giving me that nice focal length to where I still get what's around in the background based on where my distance is to my subject, while also still having, you know, that, not really losing that street quality that people look for. You know, people typically look at 35 or 50mm lenses, but the 85 is really my go-to lens for doing street photography. So the second thing is on camera settings. One reason that I shoot Aperture Priority is because of any time that I'm in situations where there's varying light on the street. If I'm photographing something that, say, is very well lit, but then I might turn around to some place where it might be in a darker area, I don't want to have spend a lot of time on adjusting my settings, adjusting my camera, because I would have missed the shot that I just saw. So if I'm just worried about my depth of field in my image, then I don't have to worry about adjusting for the lighting changes. I usually have my ISO set at a range to where if I go through those differences in highlights and shadows, I don't have an issue of getting the exposure perfectly right for that specific image. So this is one that has kind of tricked a lot of people. A photo that I love from Grand Central, where I saw this guy just on his phone with his briefcase beside him, head oblivious to everything that's around him. And many people assume that I use a tripod. I do not shoot street photography with a tripod. So I use, you know, if I'm near like walls or barriers, I will use that if I can prop my camera on something. And so in this instance, I was using the 55 1.8. I saw this guy and I knew that's my subject. And so I just wanted to slow the shutter down to really show like the hustle and bustle that's going around him. But he's like no clue as to who's passing him, what's going on. That's what I love to kind of focus on. So in a photo like this, people wonder, well, how do you select your subject? There's so many people. How do you focus on just one person? And I analyze people. I just look through the crowd and see who looks interesting. Who should I focus on? And sometimes I might just, you know, in Grand Central, they have the stairs with the platforms. So I'll just go up there, kind of scan the whole floor and see what looks fascinating to me, to where I pick out, you know, people that I think are going to be interesting. So my third thing is look at your surroundings. So analyze the weather, analyze what people are doing, anticipate for things, look at nearby objects and reflections. So there are times where I will see the perfect photo, but my subject is not where I want to take the photo. So I just get in position. If they are still coming the same direction, I just get my camera ready and I'm like, once they're in that spot, boom, I take the photo. If they just somehow, you know, go a different direction, okay, so what? I missed the photo, but I knew what I wanted. So even though they went a different way, If I just took the photo when they weren't in the spot I wanted, I would have just had a regular photo. I wouldn't have liked it as much. So I always try to anticipate, where are people going to go? Where are people going to walk? What are people going to do? And just be ready. I keep my camera turned on, keep my finger on the shutter so that way I can just hold my camera up, take the shot, done. And so like the image here, this was one where I just happened to see a bicyclist coming into my frame, framed my camera. I had the 25mm lens on. I just waited, subject got in the frame where I wanted them, took the photo, done, that's it. So this photo, I just happened to be walking in downtown, and one thing with photographers, any photographer will say that shooting when the sun is, high noon, between like 12 and 3, it's the worst time to photograph. But in New York City, there is no such thing as a bad time to photograph because of the buildings. They act as natural reflectors, natural filters. And so this is an example of where the buildings were actually being a reflector. So it softened the light and then directed it to the street to give the nice spotlight on the street in this region. And I just happened to capture this guy. The lighting was perfect. Shooting in this city, different times of the day, you can get some really great photos. And that's what I love about being here in New York. And this was taken with the 25mm, and I just camped out. I took other images of people walking because I wanted to take advantage of that light. And I only had about 5 to 7 minutes. After that, the light had shifted more to my left. So, you just have to really be quick. Know your gear, know what you're shooting, have everything set to where you can take those frames, because what you see isn't going to always be there. It's going to change. So there's going to be another photo there, and it might not be the one that you want.
So before we move on to the last 2 tips, I just want to quickly interrupt this video just to thank B&H for letting us use their space to shoot this video. And I also want to thank Nanlite for loaning me these lights. Because I was traveling in New York, I wasn't able to bring all of my usual gear, but I really wanted to light up this video to make sure that we're getting some nice visuals for you guys. Nanlite loaned me 2 of their Forza 60 LED monolights. These are incredibly tiny, but also incredibly powerful as well. With the light domes, it really made this interview look super, super sexy. Thank you again, B&H. Thank you again, Nanlite. Now back to the video.
So the next thing is perfection is not required. What do I mean by that? I mean that sharpness isn't everything. Break the rules and just be comfortable in knowing your gear. So this image, some people will say, oh, this is a very great photo that you took. And I'm like, it's a very great wrong photo that I took, because my focus was not the background with the people that are smiling. My focus was the guy that's in front that was looking at something or talking to someone that was over in the corner. And I said, my camera just missed the focus. That's all that happened. But when I brought the photo up in post, and I looked and I said, wait, those people are in focus and they have a great reaction on their face. I cropped that photo in so much. I took a 24 megapixel image and probably cropped that thing to maybe about 10 or 12 megapixels. And I said, no, this is the frame that I want. I got to bring that in, and just framed it the way that I did, to where I turned a terrible mistake into a great photo. Yeah, I love this image. I thought it was a great capture. Total mistake, but I loved it. So this was one that I took in DC with the manual lens, the Zeiss Loxia 50mm f2 lens. And it's not perfectly in focus. That's not what I was going for. I just loved the look that was on the lady's face of her looking at someone on the other side of the train. And I just loved the expression that she had on her face. And I wanted it to be something that was kind of subtle. Sharpness wasn't what I was looking for. And I just wanted to capture that emotion that she was expressing on her face in that situation. So lastly, as far as how do I visualize my final image? So take your photo and edit in your mind first, and then feel for the scene. So before I take many of the photos that I have, I always like to see it in my mind first. I like to visualize that, because if I visualize the photo, then I know I'm going to use the photo and that I think it's a pretty good photo. If I don't really see an image there, then I generally don't take it, because it's almost like I'm forcing something, and I don't want to force something that I don't feel creatively about. And then this one was one to where, people ask, where's my focus when I'm looking at editing? So in this instance, I know 1, I'm photographing the sunset. 2, my subject is the train. And then 3, with the train, I see the lights, the trail of lights, which are red and yellow. So boom, there's my focus. I'm going for my red, orange, and yellow tones. So that's where I center my focus to. So I edit for those colors, I edit for the scene based on those things that are my subjects. So everything else at that point is just basically an accessory to my subjects. And everything has to fall around where that focus is. And you know, that's just how I ended up creating that specific edit as far as creating that specific tone and look. So that's pretty much it as far as a look into how I capture the street images that I do. And so hopefully these tips are very useful for somebody else. And you know, maybe there's something that you may do that I don't know about that might be useful for me as well. So we all can learn from one another. And so this is me sharing and hopefully can be beneficial to someone else.
Thank you, Professor Hines. Make sure you follow him on Instagram or on Facebook. He is incredibly responsive in his DMs. So if you're ever curious about certain settings or certain street photography tips, or even how
Okay, guys, can you hear me again?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. What'd you think of the video?
Good.
Good. I liked a lot of his shots.
Yeah, and that's the reason I did bring up his Instagram page. I think we'll go through some of his pictures. He's got some really nice stuff. Now, as far as his style is a little different than Paul that was going to give them the talk tonight. A lot of his images are really up close and personal images. I mean, it's the kind that Margie absolutely loves because it has a lot to do with
Personalities.
Yeah, those ones are really up close, and you can count the hairs on people's faces when Paul takes their picture. Whereas this gentleman is more about the street and people in it, but just a wider, I think more of a wider image. So a contrast in view, but I think it's interesting. And so let's take a look at some of his images. Oh, the other thing I wanted to point out was for those of you that know me and know that I only shoot, well, not only, but 99% of the time I shoot in Aperture Priority. You did notice that was one of his things was to use Aperture Priority as a setting. And actually, I watched 4 or 5 other videos, and they all had the same tip in their tips for street photography was to use Aperture Priority. So to you full manual guys, sorry.
Struggle with that. I don't know why.
It's one of them things. Like I said, a lot of people don't like that, and they want to shoot in full manual. But there's sometimes when I honestly believe that you can't make the changes in your camera fast enough to get the image. And street photography, I think, would be a really good version of that situation, that things change so fast that while you're fiddling around trying to make sure that your meter's right, the person or the subject is gone.
Well, I tried doing that at the Renaissance Fair because you're either in the bright light or your sun goes in or you're in the shadows down in the trees or whatever. And for a little bit, it worked all right for me. And then all of a sudden it started bumping my ISO up to an obscene amount. Well,
that's because you had auto ISO on. See, I shoot Aperture Priority, but I don't turn on auto ISO. I still make that decision as far as my ISO goes.
Well, then the next problem I had was then the shutter speed was too slow.
That does happen, but you can, on a lot of cameras, you can set a minimum shutter speed. That when you're in Aperture Priority, you can tell it. I don't want you to go below a certain amount.
Can't you also set a maximum ISO for the auto ISO?
Yes, you can. With Auto ISO, if you're using Auto ISO, you can set minimum and maximum both ISOs. So if you run into that situation, and I've done that a lot, and I have my Auto ISO set up to where it'll work in the range that I want it to, and I'll turn that on in a situation like if I'm just walking around in the city, to where it won't go above 1200 or 1400 or whatever ISO I've chosen. That way I know that I'm not going to get an ISO that's higher than what I really wanted. So yes, that's a good point. You can do that. Looking through your settings, you can make that decision.
Brian, the other thing, and probably everyone's camera is a little bit different in this regard, but I know with my photos, I was originally kind of afraid, kind of like what Melissa's saying, of high ISO photos. And if you pixel peep, you can understand why someone would be afraid of that. But with noise reduction capability in your post-processing software and not pixel peeping, most of those high ISO images look perfectly fine.
Not always. I can see that if you do too much noise, your picture gets very, very soft.
Right, and that is true. That's the reason. One of the other videos I watched, he pointed out several times to know your equipment. And one of the things you have to know is you have to know what your upper limit is as far as ISO goes. Because just because your camera says that it'll go to 132,000 ISO doesn't mean you should use it there. Because it's not going to work. It's just the technology's not there yet. And that's the reason if you use that Auto ISO and tell it, don't go above your upper limit. You know that your camera above 1200 ISO is bad. It gets too much grain in it, then stop it. Don't let it go above 1200 ISO. That way you know that when you come back, your images are usable because you know that your ISO never went higher than what your camera can handle. So that's one of the points that I use as far as when I use Auto ISO on my camera. That upper limit is set, and it's always set to what I know the camera's capable of. My camera will go up into, I think it's 120 some thousand ISO, but it don't work there. It's not clean. But at about 25 to 2700 is about the limit on my new camera, and that's where I set that Auto ISO to stop at. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let me grab, this is his Instagram page. How many of you guys actually use Instagram?
I do.
Minimal.
No.
I have one. I haven't been.
Dawn has her hand up, or Lane has her hand up, sorry.
Sorry, I'm on mute because my husband's watching TV in the background and I don't have a lot to say anyway. I'm just listening.
That's okay.
And
That's okay.
if you have something on the background or if there's noise, it bothers.
Yeah.
Okay, just make it sure.
All right.
I have Instagram. Just haven't used it a whole lot.
Well, Instagram is I go back and forth in phases. Sometimes I'll be on Instagram like nonstop, and then other times it may be months before I look at it again. But it is a good place to go look at photographs. And there's quite, almost all the professional photographers use Instagram, so they use it for a reason.
David Gicello posts a beautiful photo of Pittsburgh every day, at least every day, sometimes a couple of them. And my grandkids are on it. That's why I'm on it.
So, yes, David does post a lot of very, very nice pictures of Pittsburgh. And he's one of the photographers that I love to hate. I hate him because he always gets the really, really nice pictures of Pittsburgh. And I love him because he always gets the really, really nice pictures of Pittsburgh. So I do follow him on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere. And if you guys don't and you want to see cool, really good pictures of Pittsburgh, look him up. He's definitely worth taking a look at. He gets some stuff. And he also, for some reason, happens to I don't know how, but he always seems to have access to places that no one else does. He takes pictures from rooftops that I know that I can't walk in the door and go, hey, can I go to the roof and take some pictures? They would laugh me out the door with the police officer escorting me.
I hear he has dents on top of his car too for some of his shots.
It would not surprise me. It would not surprise me. When I had older vehicles, I'd had the same way. Many times I stood on the roof of a pickup truck. But anyhow, he is a good photographer to follow. He does some really, really nice landscapes of Pittsburgh and in the area. So anyhow, Instagram it's pretty cool. One of the biggest issues a lot of people have with Instagram is that you can't upload from your computer to Instagram because it's designed as a cell phone app.
But you can upload from a Mac.
You can upload from a PC as well. And actually on Thursday at our next meeting, I'm going to show you how to do that. It's actually pretty neat the way that I found to do it. It's not too hard and it's not real hard to understand. And basically you fool your computer into believing it's an iPhone. And it'll allow you to upload right from your computer to Instagram. And that's how I do it now. I used to use a plugin in Lightroom that would do it for you, but with Lightroom changing all the time, they weren't keeping up with the plugin as well. So I quit using that and started using this. So on Thursday, I'll show you how to do that anyhow. All right, let's take a look at, go ahead. Oh, I thought I heard someone talking.
Nope.
I'm going to just click on his pictures, and you guys see that as a bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They don't get much bigger than that on the computer, but anyhow, we'll just take a look through, and if you want to talk about any particular picture or ask questions, feel free to. I see that he uses looks like a Sony camera. Oh, well, this was the Sony Alpha, and it says in the description, in the final year ever using a DSLR. So I'm going to assume that he has now moved to a mirrorless camera, which I did notice a lot of the street photographers that I've looked at, that's what they use.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming that's just for size-wise and carryability, or being able to carry it because it's a lighter camera and stuff like that. So anyhow, let's take a look and just look at some of his images. And feel free to talk, please. I like this camera, or this picture. This is one that you could actually do in Pittsburgh. Although we don't have the really cool grungy yellow post, but you could get a picture like that in Pittsburgh in the subway. Whenever you're allowed to walk in Pittsburgh again.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is he publishing work in books? Is he selling them in a gallery? What is his revenue? How does he make his income from photography, or does he?
Well, I didn't go that far into his stuff. I know he has a website, which I didn't go to because Instagram usually has more photos than a website does. And I will share the video with you guys because there were some links to his stuff there. And when I did a Google search for his name, which is Professor Hines is what he goes by, there were several things that came up for him. So I would assume that he does sell his images, but I didn't go that far into it just because for tonight I just wanted to show his images. So I would assume that he does sell them. But I have seen him in the past in other things pop up here.
I'm taking the title professor seriously, and he is teaching us. So I would think that somewhere there's a college or a school where he's teaching photography.
Possibility.
So he may have some revenue from that.
Yeah, possibility. I'll do a little more research into him, but I just liked his images. So, But I'll do,
yeah.
I'll do a little more research into him and find out what he does beyond
Okay.
it, if he does anything. I know that I've seen him in more than one interview and video that I've watched about street photography over the last few years. So he does pop up quite a bit as far as that goes. What do you guys think of this image?
I can't quite figure out exactly what I'm looking at.
You know, I had the same thought when I first looked at it, and I'll be honest with you, I've stared at it for a while now, and earlier today, and I don't know what it is either. I still don't. But looking at his hashtags, I see a hashtag of church flow, God, concert, church, in there, and the name of the image is Pray for the World. So it may have been at a church, or it may have been at you know, a service of some sort or something like that, and he caught this kid, and to me it really looks like the kid's laying on the floor.
I thought somebody was shooting pool.
I think that looks like a fan, like a handheld fan.
All right, so if you're Pentecostal, you're there forever, and the children sleep.
Yeah.
Service, and they can run forever, and little kids just fall asleep, and they're laying on the floor while the parents and the adults are worshiping God. So
He does what every kid does, melts down.
Okay.
It's meltdown.
So there's a lot of thoughts as far as that goes, as to
It makes you think.
I'm looking to see if there's anything in the comments, and no, they're just mostly amazing, great, and wonderful. And you all know my opinions of those words. But, you know, I thought it was a good image, though. It's an interesting image, and it makes you look at it and think about it, because we obviously all had different thoughts and ideas of what it is. So, I mean, what's an image supposed to do? I've always said it's supposed to make you think. So I definitely spent some time looking at that and thinking about it. Street image of New York City.
I like all the reflections in the buildings.
Yep. Looks like they're either building or tearing down a building there.
Mm-hmm.
I like to look at hashtags too, to see what people are using. And actually, that's a good idea if you start using Instagram or decide to do that. Getting your images noticed is all about hashtags.
Mm-hmm.
I pick one, like I have an idea of what hashtags I'm going to use that relates to my image. And then I search that hashtag to see what other hashtags people are using in similar images.
Yes. I actually have on my computer, I have a thing called Sticky Notes, a program that I use. And that program, I have hashtags all set up in there, so I can just go in and do a Control-A, Control-C and drop them in. And depending on the image, you know, I have a set that's designed for black and white images, a set that's designed for landscape, and I have a couple of different sets that I've made up. And
I just go back to an old image and do edit and copy and paste.
yeah, you can do that.
Sometimes I add to it.
And then, so when I paste those in like that, then I'll add in a few more hashtags of the specific image. So my black and white stuff goes to all my black and white hashtags, and then I'll add in where it is or what it is. You know, it's a Pittsburgh image, it's a Phipps Conservatory, you know, that kind of stuff. I'll add those in. You do have a limit though of 25 hashtags. If you didn't know that, you do now. You can only do 25 at a time. What do you think of that one? I like this image.
Yeah, she's
framed in that guy looking at his phone.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
The
expression on her face.
Absolutely. The framing of her is really good, but I
Mhm.
believe that that orange shirt behind her and also the orange light behind her head really actually make you look more at the image, I think. I don't think if that orange shirt wasn't there and the orange light above her head, I don't think that would be as strong of an image.
I think you're right. Yeah, they both point to, they point to her.
Right.
And I also know that Dennis is sitting there going, let's turn that into black and white and see what it looks like there.
He's also sitting there thinking that it's good that the man's phone hand and the girl's face don't touch.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Brian, I'm having problems with my internet connection. I'm going to drop out. We'll catch you folks later.
Okay, John.
Yeah, John.
Bye, John. Good night.
All right, we'll see you now.
Bye, John.
If you look at the photo, what are people handling? How are they holding on in the subway?
Mm-hmm.
The handrail is covered in coronavirus.
Correct.
And everything else.
Right.
Right. Now, if you guys have looked at any images as of the last few weeks of the subways in the big cities, and most of those images show one person sitting in a chair and no one else in the image. So I'm sure that has all changed at this point.
Yep.
There's a black and white for Dennis, and I think that's a really strong black and white photo.
Yeah.
What's interesting, I think, about that one is if that fella's head wasn't backlit, the top of his head backlit, it wouldn't be as strong an image.
Exactly.
That backlighting just really kind of brings him out from the background.
The kiosk sign says information, and the lights are off in the booth.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I think this again, if you went back to the video and he talked about the visualization of the picture, I have the feeling that this is one that he kind of sat down and looked at and went, you know what, I'm gonna wait till I get my guy to walk through there just at the right time to do this image. And it worked out. I would say that's how this was taken. He probably wasn't a click and go. He probably was sitting in one place waiting for the perfect person walking through there. If that guy didn't have his briefcase with him or whatever bag it is that he's carrying, and like you said, if the light wasn't on his head, it's not the same image.
Right.
Hey, Brian, your favorite thing is to patrol the edges. And he couldn't crop off the entire top because I think the clock in the center there kind of helps the image. But the left and right side lights, I probably would have cloned out.
No.
No. I think that's where the part of the light comes from. It gives it an offset in the lighting. I think it would have been too dark in the top.
Do they give you the idea of them being the logo for Apple?
Yeah.
No.
Now that you say it, I see that, but
I don't know. It just, to me, it looks like the logo for Apple. But I agree. I don't think I would take them out on this one. They don't really bother me.
I still keep coming back to the halo around his head.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a good image. I like it a lot.
And it's black and white.
And it's let's see, what's the first, the pain I feel seeing that's that sliver of clock being cut off and the top cannot be expressed in human language. So that's one of the comments.
Okay, that's where my problem is seeing the top of the clock cut like that. I don't like the top of the clock cut.
Okay.
That's where my eye keeps going, and it just drives me nuts.
I don't know. It just, to me, the top of that image isn't bothering me. I mean, me personally, I'm caught too much by the guy in the light that the other parts of that image aren't bother to me, I should say. I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's see what else we got. We'll skip that. That's an ad. There we go.
That might be how he makes his money.
Yeah, that's a possibility. There's your contrast in the subway there, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
There's only a couple people in there, so I don't know when this was taken. Let's see.
Dishwasher's still dirty.
What's that?
No, my son, I filled the dishwasher, but I didn't run it because I was going to be on, and my son was getting in the dishwasher.
So this
is an astronaut.
This picture was taken in 2015, and it's an HDR edit.
Mm-hmm.
Did he redone?
Where was it?
So I looked up Professor Hines, and he has an Etsy page where he's selling presets, backgrounds, wall prints, other prints. So that's probably where he's making all his money.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people do that kind of stuff. So let's see. He's got different images. There's a different edit of that image. That may be his. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like that one better.
Yeah.
I like that one.
I like the first one.
Yeah, first one for sure.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
That one. I like that one.
I definitely don't like that. That one's just I think that might be just maybe the raw file, the no edited version. That's okay. I do like this one better though. All right, let's see what else we got here. This isn't as much of a street photography as it is a maybe an environmental portrait. Because I'm going to assume that was inside a person's house or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What's the unedited version of that one?
Yeah, does he have an extra one, like an extra photo?
It says in the comments, it says the unedited version. That's the unedited.
So that's the unedited, and this would be the edited version.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
actually
curious how much of a difference it was.
Yeah, it's actually nice to see a post like that where you get to see both versions. The edit is better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I like to see what they take. It's nice to catch that and then see how much they really put into changing it or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. All right. Street photography. I think I'm allergic to morning. I'd have to agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Lately, I'm allergic to morning, afternoon, evening. Until it's officially late for everyone else, I'm having issues. So I'm up all night, every night at this point.
That's nice.
So in case you all forgot, I photograph weddings as well. There's another source of income there, Rex.
Yep.
Yeah. It works.
ISO 4000 with his 85 millimeter Zeiss lens.
Well.
Yeah, can you post? It's a nice image. I'm not a big fan of the muted black. To me, it looks like a muted picture. I don't know.
Looks underexposed.
Yeah.
Is it vignette?
Well, I'm looking at like the guy's suit and pants and stuff like that, or that have that same kind of look to it, to where it's a little bit, as Beth said, a little bit underexposed, I think. But,
excuse me, Brian, are those subjects in focus or out of focus? I mean,
she's in focus. Her face is.
Okay.
See what's next. So this is, the original was also an HDR high dynamic range image as well. So let's see. Okay, so the original's in color, and then he did also a black and white, but that is an HDR image that he done. That's a good, which way do you like that, color or black and white? There's color.
I like the color better.
Yeah,
I
it's
like black and
like
white
a
because it doesn't have
sepia,
much lines.
almost a sepia kind of tone.
Yeah.
Or
I
warm
like
tone. It's a warm tone.
Yeah. I like the way the buildings in the back look in the color version better than in the black and white.
Yeah, I don't like the orange signs.
They got darkened up a little bit too much.
But yeah, that's what catches my eye is the building in the background. I like that color on them.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to go in and see if I could mute down that orange on those signs and go with the color version.
Yep. It's a muted color, but it does look good.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, there's a giveaway down there. There's a somebody's got their foot on their brake light. You can see the brake light on the right side of the road going away. Yeah, that's right on there. Yeah, to the right. No, you started right on it, right? No, down a little bit, down and then to the right there. Or is that a sign? No, just come
That's
up.
a sign.
That's a sign.
That's the orange signs that I said that I don't like.
Yeah.
You mean that there?
No, about 2/3, about 1/3 of the way up from the bottom on the right-hand curb.
Right here?
Yeah, that right there, whatever that is.
That's the orange construction.
Oh, okay. I see it now. Okay. Okay.
Those are the signs that I said I don't like. I would have to go in and see if I could mute them somehow, dull that color some.
Yeah.
But I would leave it this color. I like this better.
And in the bottom left-hand corner, what are we looking at there? It looks like a couple of barrels, one of those safety barrels, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Construction.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. That's good. I like it. I like it.
That's an interesting framing technique. I like that.
One of the things that happens when you travel the subways of New York City, no one pays attention to you. You're kind of in your own zone, and everyone's in their own zone. I mean, it's kind of like a self-imposed isolation. So that's a nice photo. I like this one.
My biggest issue with street photography is being noticed. Because people don't like to have their picture taken most of the time. And most people don't, but like you said, because of I've never been in the New York City subways, let me put that out there first, but because of the I'm only worried about me and I'm not paying much attention to what's going on, it does give you an option to be able to take those pictures.
Yeah, a lot of times out in public, people see you with a camera. They're like, oh.
Yeah.
They're taking pictures. They don't want to be in pictures. They don't.
Either they run away or they try to pose.
Yeah.
Right.
And neither is usually what you want.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. When maybe last year or the year before, we were down in the Strip District, whenever it was the last time we were down in the Strip District. As a matter of fact, I remember it was the time when that guy drove up his beautiful red Cadillac convertible and we all were photographing it. Around that same street corner, I have that same discomfort that I aim my camera and the person looks at me and I get cold feet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure what to say. So I try not to. What I did find is I would take the camera, I'd set it up at an intersection, and then people will just go back and forth, and I just set up a sort of a scene. I've got this, I can show you what I've done, but essentially what it is I just got the scene that I wanted, and then I saw how people were walking through it, and when it looked like they were going to be interesting, I'd take the shot, and then I'd see what I got. What I got, I got. And I didn't worry about whether they would be upset. Nobody seemed to look, because most of them were kind of headed either perpendicular to me or away from me in some way.
Now, when we went down at Christmas time, that is kind of what I did. And people kind of ignored me with the camera when I was just, as long as they thought I was taking pictures of something else and they were just walking in front of me, they didn't care.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that is true. And that's the way I go about it as well, is if they think you're taking a picture of something that is not them, they just think they're walking in front of you. So it doesn't, but it's not always the best situation. Like an image like this, if she looked at him, she would know he was taking a picture of her. So it's a little different situation, but yeah, I do like to do that as far as, and I do a lot of pictures of, if it's like we said down at the strip district, a lot of the pictures I do are people walking away from me. That way they have no chance in hell of telling that I'm taking her picture. They've already passed me, but
the irony of what you're saying is, very often there's something I want to take a picture of and the person won't get out of the way. It's just the reverse. You know?
All right.
Oh.
Patience.
I like that one.
Love that. That's a good one.
Yeah. Any comments on that one, guys?
He just seems to be a master of using people to frame the subject. I mean, this is a perfect example of it.
Yeah. And I like this comment. How are you able to do pictures like this? Anybody ever have concerns of privacy or something, which we just talked about? I'm a hobbyist trying to learn, but the idea of being accused of being a creep is so really horrifying. And again, that's a good point, though. When you start taking pictures of children, and I avoid taking pictures of children religiously.
Same here.
No pun intended, since we're in a church, looking at a church picture. But
what does the comment? What do the replies say? There's 4 replies.
What about in regular street? Any concerns? Also, since you're manual focusing, what are your average time? In the streets, you just don't go around looking like a creep. If you appear as a threat to someone, then you're going to make them uncomfortable. I never make people feel that way, so I never had problems with photographing people. Yes, only a few seconds, but how I photograph, I'm 99% of the time never noticed. Photographers should never be noticed, ever. If you're always spotted, then you have to reevaluate how you shoot. This church is my witness, as I purposely do not wear all black, and I'm never noticed when I photograph, because I'm mindful of the flow of service and where I should be at the different moments of worship.
Do you take an iPhone, Brian? I mean, to carry a camera to church during a service, unless it's a wedding, it's a little bit awkward and all that. But
I'm starting to wonder if they know he's taking pictures during church all the time.
Well, that's what I was just, with that comment right there,
Used to it.
because I'm mindful of the flow of service and where I should be at the different moments of worship. I almost think that he does that more often than not.
Yeah.
They're used to him being there as it is, or like you said, maybe it is a wedding or a specific service that there would be a photographer there taking pictures.
Right.
I think one of the great things about the newer electronic cameras is you don't have a shutter, the mirror slap. You don't hear that big slap from the mirror when you're taking pictures. So your
Right.
candidates come out a lot.
Yeah.
You feel more comfortable using a camera that way.
Yep. Still a good image. It's a great black and white image, and like you said, really good framing using people to get to the you immediately look at that image and look at that girl. I mean, so
Right.
There's some of my cruise images.
yeah.
Yep.
Grand Central Station.
Wow, that's changed.
Yeah, that's a new.
Well, no, the text says.
No, wait. This is
it's
the station
different.
after
No,
Grand
no.
Central.
Central.
It says my second favorite train station after Grand Central.
Oh,
Okay,
oh.
so let's see if it tells us which one it is. I don't see anything in there.
Doesn't say.
Love it, classic Heinz. Oh, his Heinz. What station is that? There's a reply. Oh no, that was me asking her. No, I don't want to reply. Never mind. He didn't answer the question, so I don't know what station it is. I like the perspective though. I mean, it's a great different view of an image of that.
So is he down in between the escalator?
Yeah,
That's the escalator going down.
Yeah.
he's
Yep.
at the top.
I think
and
he's
it
like,
must have been
like
a
he's
little bit-
sitting on the steps.
Yeah, because your handrails are coming up and out the corners, so you almost have to be.
But he's in between the escalators because
Right.
there's that silver.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not actually the steps.
He's not on the escalator. He's in between the up and down one.
Right, because there's those
Yeah.
little metal things to keep people from sliding down there on their
Yeah.
skateboard and stuff. Yep.
Hmm.
It's a good image. I mean, it's very well exposed and processed.
Oh yeah, you can read all the lettering in the windows.
Yep. He didn't say anything about it being an HDR or anything like that either for this one. No.
Oh, that's all like that. That's nice.
It's a good use of reflection in water.
Mm-hmm.
How do you luck out and get 3 people with either red or orange on at the same time?
You were just reading my mind, plus the orange barrel off to the side there.
But that orange, look at that orange. It's got a red tinge to it. He's adjusted the colors in that.
Well, and then you have the signs on the right side there that are also in red.
Yeah.
He's got three signs with red. No, there's more than that. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 signs there on the right side with red in it, and then you have those 3 people with red.
All right. Well, it says, check out my new YouTube on Professor Heinz Choice channel.
Push the,
Moody
it
Spring.
doesn't tell you what it is. Push the center button.
I don't know what the sport is.
Right, that's what I was. Push the center button.
What's
Very center button on the remote.
Oh. He's definitely always showing his presets, so it may be a preset that picked up a particular color and overdone it or whatever. It's a good image though. I like it. No matter how he processed it, it works as far as all the group of colors take you right around, if you notice.
Yeah.
Boom,
Yeah.
boom,
The
jacket,
reflection.
jacket, jacket, barrel. I like these kind of images.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. This was a 40 millimeter lens. 40 millimeter, and we switched with the 55. So he is a fan of the, and he said that in his talk there about prime lenses. So this one's a 40 millimeter lens. Does it look like it's tilting a little bit to the left?
I don't know. My lap's
No,
tilting.
the white colored column that says Astor Place on it seems to line up with the white column pretty good. Maybe just a half a millimeter, not much.
And I was looking at the line across the
Horizontal.
car here. The horizontal looks like it's a little bit to the tilt, but
Well, the cars might tilt when they're going around a corner too.
They do. They have the track, I think, is tilted too.
Yeah. I don't know.
On the turns.
I like the
turns.
image though. I'd like to see this one in black and white though.
I kind of like the yellow though.
I was gonna say, I don't think it would have the same impact without having that yellow.
Yeah. Next.
That is high tech.
And he added the motion blur.
Yeah. This photo was edited to add motion blur. So the blur wasn't part of the image to start with. He added it in.
It would have been.
Where was he when he took the photo?
Well, that was the reason I was interested in this one, because it looks like it's a moving photo, but it's not. It was a sitting photo. So he may have been sitting at a stoplight and he took the picture, and then added the motion blur later.
Is it me, or does the front bottom of that car look awkward?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does.
Yep.
It's probably been hit. New York.
Well, the lens was a 16 to 35, so if it was shot at 16, there'd be a good chance that something down there would be a little bit distorted anyhow.
Huh.
Yeah, based on the background, it looks like it's Times Square, and you're right. Probably it was a red light, or else he would have been creamed and all that if he was right in the middle of the road.
Absolutely.
The only thing he forgot was the motion blur, the signs and stuff on the hood of the car.
You wouldn't motion blur the hood of the car.
What's that?
I wouldn't motion blur anything on the car.
I don't know. I think the lights the light reflections on the hood would be motion blurred if it were real.
So the first comment on here says, can you make the reflections on the car motion blur too? I think it would be a tad more realistic. And let's see. Professor Hines says, if you want to do it, go ahead. He didn't do it.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the top of the car, the sign for the taxi on top of the car.
No, the reflections in the hood.
To the reflections in the hood, you can tell that the image is at standstill because there is no blur there.
Right.
He also says on here, being realistic is not what my goal was, as I don't want Photoshop work to be considered realistic for what I do. This same effect I obtained directly in camera was versus using this method when possible.
Okay. So, and that does make sense. He used it as a post process thing, and he doesn't care that it doesn't look 100% natural because he doesn't care. That's not what he wanted to show.
Yeah.
Which is and he did mention that in his thing, that it doesn't have to, perfection isn't necessary. When we watched his video, he said it doesn't need to be perfect, but it definitely makes you look at it, and it definitely sparked some conversation among us about it. So cool. Nice shot. It doesn't fall into street photography, unless the street has fallen away. I don't know. I'm not
yellow on the horizon.
Yeah, I'm not really sold on this picture. It just, to me, the Jim said the yellow on horizon doesn't look normal to me.
Yeah.
And of course, you get the comments of "This is amazing, this is great, gorgeous." I don't know. I'm not sold on that one.
No, I think it would have been better if this would have been longer exposure with the water coming all the way up, softer water, plus better lighting.
All right.
I'd like to hear Dennis's critique on that one.
Well,
what do you think, Dennis?
I think it's kind of boring.
Well, you know what? You know this kind of photography very well, and you are sensitive to it, so you can go probably right to the things that you don't like, which would be probably why most of us are just sort of saying, oh, there's a snapshot too. I'm looking at the 50% thing. It's a lower half, upper half, horizon across the middle, and some 45-degree converging lines coming down from each side. End of story. What is it? Somebody just said it. Maybe like if the camera had been tilted down more and lightened up, and the exposure was a little lighter, that all of that texture, all of that water, and it's as it vanishing lines where it vanishes off into the distance, would make it quite a bit different. Just tilting the camera down, I think, to put it simply, and seeing what you get there.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's a 50-50.
Yeah.
I think the rocks are more interesting than the sky.
Yeah, which why tilting the camera down and adjusting the exposure for the detail and the sharpness in that would be a better rendering.
Yeah, I think there's pictures in that picture that would work, but that picture itself doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Again, he is a street photographer.
Yes. Yes. I don't think he aspires to be a landscape photographer, because this is on the street and it's much better.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would feel comfortable taking a shot like that. They're definitely involved in something else.
Yeah, they're in their world and they don't know you're taking their pictures. So I like the expression on the girl with the black jacket and the black hair. The expression on her face is pretty good.
She might be saying, is this one of Kenneth Hines' pictures?
All right, let's take a look at another one.
Oh, I like that a lot right away.
Wow.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting.
So we talked about, when we were doing Lightroom last time, we talked about split toning. And he says in here that he used split toning and lens flare to accomplish this image. So I think that this gentleman, from the different things that we've looked at and a lot of the reading, he does a lot of post-processing with his images. This one doesn't have a before and after. I wish it did. That would be a nice one to see, an original photo and then a photo that's been finished. But 85mm lens again. Very nice. It's a nice image. I mean, however he accomplished it, it works well.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at one more and then we'll come to the conclusion, I guess, for the evening. There's something we probably won't see a lot of for a while now, is a picture on a cruise ship.
People in it.
But I like how in this picture, his street photography really comes through and he has a beautiful sunset.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
It's
the
all
key.
about the position.
Yeah.
That was shot with a 21mm lens.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You gotta wonder if it's a crop.
How much he cropped that sucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Good.
good.
Read the point about the shadow of the guy.
Yeah. I see that.
Yeah, that's
Wrong
true.
angle.
Get it in the, doesn't match. Yeah. Well, he did say in the top there, he added the lens flare. It was a tutorial on adding lens flares in Photoshop. So he may have actually added the whole sun and everything in there. I don't know.
It says in the video, a different photo is used on a different day, though. But this photo, that is the sun, the lens flare is in the middle of that.
I still think it's a good image. It looks good.
No, it's interesting.
Yep. Let's take a look at one more. So he uses a gold tone preset for this one. Interesting. All right, guys. Let's see. We're just about at 9 o'clock, so I'm gonna get off of this. Don't forget April Photographer's Choice on Reddit. So if you do actually step outside, take your camera with you, get a picture or take some pictures inside and do something with that. I will post a link to our Thursday night Swig Light meeting coming up, and I'll send an email out for that. So let me get off of there, go back to video. All right. Anything else? Any comments, questions, concerns?
Just seeing Reddit when you had it up, I posted pictures on there. Did they not show up?
I haven't reloaded.
They were on earlier.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I see them.
I need to go on Reddit.
I just was,
Been on
when
there
I didn't
lately.
see them on the list there, I thought, oh boy, did I screw up and they didn't show up or something.
No, I'm looking at them right now.
Okay.
There they are.
Okay.
Is that them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't reloaded the page recently, so.
I like that lamp, by the way. That's
I do like the lamp.
And I used the split tones on the highlights there.
Okay. Cool.
Because that's the same lamp I had with a blue shade
Right.
the last time I posted it.
Yep. It looks good. Okay, back to there. All right. Anything else? All right. So I don't know. I don't know when we'll be able to meet in person again. So until then, we'll continue with our Zoom meetings. They do have a few little quirks and stuff like that. Margie, I haven't heard from you, but you've been unmuted the whole time. I hope that you could hear us. I did record the meeting tonight, so I'll post a link to the recording probably tomorrow once I get everything put together and get it uploaded to a spot where we can record it, where I can show it. Most of these meetings, when I remember to record them, I post them on our YouTube channel. So you guys can go, and if there was something that you wanted to recap, or if you wanted to watch the whole meeting again, you can. So the meeting will be posted. Thursday, I'll send a link out tomorrow for a link for Thursday night's Swig Light meeting, so we can get together and just BS a little bit. I'll show you that trick that I use for Instagram, and maybe if Dennis is on, he can show us how he does it with Mac to upload to Instagram.
Well, it's the same way. You trick it to be an iPhone.
Okay, so it's the same
I
way.
can show you how to do it.
Are you going to record Thursday's meeting?
Yes, I will. I've got it set up now to where it automatically starts recording when the meeting starts, so I don't have to remember to record it.
I'm working Thursday evening, so
Okay,
I may jump in at the very end
that's fine.
if you're still on there when I get done.
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, I found out that I could set it up to where it automatically records the meeting when I start the meeting now, so I don't have to worry about remembering to do it. So yes, there will be a recording.
Good.
Ryan, maybe we can get Rex to show how he straightens his doors.
Yes, I wanted to do that, and I know when we talked about it at the Swig meeting, I was going to do it at the next Swig meeting, but we'll do that Thursday night. If you're on, Rex, if you're on Thursday night, I do want to see that.
Okay.
So
it's right here in the machine. No problem. It'll be with me.
Okay, we can take a look at that on Thursday, and share your screen and show us how you did that. So definitely, I'm interested in doing and seeing that, because I don't use that feature a lot, and I should sometimes, or I wish I knew more about it at times. So yes, definitely, I would like to see you show us how you do that.
Yeah, one of the things that I was also going to show, I was working with it earlier today to make sure that I could go through the act of getting it done without falling into a trap of any kind. And what I did is I simply took two doors, different, and I said, okay, pano these together for me. And it was an amazing result. So what I'm talking about is something that sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't, but you just have to try it. And sometimes you come up with some pretty interesting stuff.
Cool.
So I'll have that ready.
Cool. And also between now and then, I'm going to watch that video that Scott Kelby does that says don't use keywords in Lightroom, because
I'll be dead without it.
I want to see what that is. And I'll you guys are welcome to go, and like I said, you can join that Scott Kelby right now. He does have a free version. Go to kelby1.com, click on and join the free version. You don't have to put a credit card in. It's always free, and there's quite a bit there that's free to watch. So
right here it says 73,909 images, and they're all different kinds of images. If I didn't have the keywords, I'd be dead.
I am 100% with you, Rex, because you guys know I have preached keywords nonstop since the beginning.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take a look because Scott Kelby's around, and he also does a whole lot more photography than we do. And if he's got a way of doing it without spending time doing keywords and it works, maybe I'll adopt it. I don't know. We're going to see.
I got a library of his books right up here from like 1989, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not opposed to learning new ways of doing things, and if I can find a new way to do something that's easier, and I spend less time doing that and more time actually finishing my images, then maybe it'll work. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, Brian, before we leave, I'd like to ask DL if he wouldn't mind explaining what his photo is there that represents himself.
Oh, I know what it is, but okay.
That's pretty cool.
What's that car show that we go to every year?
That looks like the hood ornament on
Roll
was
the wheel.
that movie?
That was from Steeltown Shakedown, I think 2017.
Okay.
Pretty cool looking DL.
Yeah, it's a nice image. I like that.
Thank you.
All right. Trying to think. I don't think there's anything else right now. Keep an eye out. There is a lot of stuff right now that's being offered at considerably cheaper pricing and stuff like that. Courses, Udemy, which you guys know that I use as a learning place, is offering a lot of courses that were $200 courses at $10 right now. So different things like that. So because of what's going on, a lot of places are offering good discounts on things. So keep an eye out for those kind of things and take advantage of that. I've picked up 4 or 5 courses from Udemy over the last like 2 weeks that were free because I already have a couple, and my instructors that I've bought courses off of will once in a while just throw one out and say, hey, this one's for free if you want to hurry up and grab it. And it's only free for a day or two. And I go in and click on it and get it in my system. That way it's free for me to watch. Once it's in your account in Udemy, it's there forever. Interesting. So I don't think there's anything else going on. Anybody else have any last minute thing before we close up?
Yeah, I do. Carol came down to be here with me, so look what she went and did. All right.
All right.
We're going to sign off. We'll see you guys.
Okay.
We'll see you, everyone. Take care.
All right,
Stay
guys.
safe.
I'll see you all soon. Hope you enjoyed the meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks,
It was
Brian.
great. It was great.
Bye, Lane. Great to see you here.
You may see me back. Bye.
Good. We'll see you, Elaine.